school, I think can play a role. It can play a very, very important role. I think that we have to come up with a variety of different strategies and a variety of different tactics, and that can play a role. I think that in order to do that, one is going to have to bring in a number of persons who have written, reflected, and exemplified in example and practice and action the transforming of young brothers' lives. I'll say brothers of all colors, brothers' lives. I'm thoroughly convinced that some of what I had to say about the courage tied to questioning, the courage tied to compassion, and the courage tied to hope exemplified in those who have come before and exemplified in folks who are trying to enact it now, not just the televisual figures that everybody can talk about, but the persons in their lives. Sometimes it's just one, sometimes it's just two. The last thing we want are young people to say, my role model is Oprah Winfrey. I love Oprah. She's an entrepreneurial genius, but she can't be a role model if you don't know her. The role model is somebody you can touch. Oh, my role model, P. Diddy. No, P. Diddy don't know you. You've got to have a role model you can talk to. You can share. You can open up and trust, create bonds. That's the kind of thing I would like to see at the schools. Now, that's not to say you're downplaying Oprah. Oprah is an inspiration. That's different than a role model. So when I was growing up, my father was my role model. Martin Luther King Jr. was a heck of a man, but my father was bad. Young Willie P. Cook was bad. Deacon Hinton was bad. These brothers touched me at the deepest level. And every word that I speak, you can feel the touch. Because they're dead, but they're not dead. In me. See what I mean? So in that, I never met Martin. Met him in the text. Through imagination and empathy and reading and so forth and so on. I never kicked it with Brother Martin. I kicked it all the time. That's what you want to all male school. We talk a little bit about that. At the all girls school magazine. Why was that a school in Philadelphia? It's all girls school in Philadelphia. That's where it was. Dad, you know that school? Yeah, he said, we were there for almost 4 hours. Mary ain't gonna get me out of there. So we had a dialogue going on. We really did. But I think part of the thing we have to understand is that when you have folk who've been living in bubbles, this is what happens when you get upper middle class. And this is true for all colors. There's nothing wrong. We all have our bubbles now, y'all. Living in the ghetto, broke with the Ten Commandments financially, is living in a bubble. It's parochial, provincial. You need to expand. But there's a parochial and provincialism on the east side of New York, too. And so you get young folk coming in thinking they're salvific, messianic, going to save the world because they're taking precious time out of their short lives in order to spend time with some poor folk. And that needs to be, they need to learn how to die. That kind of condescension, that kind of arrogance, that kind of looking down needs to die. They can still make very important contributions, no doubt about that. But part of just growing up is just maturing in that sense, you see. The students are open to them. They're going to have to learn how to be open to students. The students know things they know not of. Not just conditions, how to deal with them. So that's where the dialogue that has much more of an equal status needs to take place. But how do you teach humility? How do you teach wisdom? How do you teach? There's a wonderful line in Kant's Critique of Pure Reason, where it says, examples of the go-kart judgment. Examples of the go-kart of judgment. Wise judgment is tied to exposure to wise examples. Hanging around persons who enact wisdom is not following a rule. Knowing how is different than knowing that. To know how to exercise a wise judgment, you get that by spending time with persons who are doing that all the time. All the time. And that's part of what I mean by the presence in one's life. One principle changes a student's life. One teacher changes a student's life because they see it. They get close to it. They connect it to it. They try to begin to enact it imperfectly in their own way. So I think what I would like to see would be a kind of renaissance
on a local, regional, and national level of heroic, sacrificial, love-driven, sacrifice-oriented, critical masses, not just individuals. That's what I'd like to see. Because it's another way of saying we need a social movement. That's another lecture.